as we promised to bring the best and brightest voices from the world, today we have with us Don Loonam, who is the CEO of CourseTalk and Academics Direct. So, Academics Direct connects learners with the right educational opportunities, and CourseTalk is the world's largest source for reviews of online courses. Don, I very briefly described them as one-liners. Can you tell us more about what CourseTalk is and from various different stakeholders' perspective?
I'd love to, and thanks for the invitation. It's great to be here and with you today. From the stakeholder perspective, I'll concentrate on perhaps three key stakeholders. First, for the young student preparing for university, or for the undergraduate student looking for more exposure to subjects in their area of concentration. Even for the individual seeking certification in particular skills for employment purposes, CourseTalk offers over 40,000 online courses, many from the most elite universities and course providers in the world. And this is enabling the learner to browse, audit courses, and ultimately enroll in courses. But here's the real value proposition, and it gets to the heart of our vision for CourseTalk. It offers that, shall we say, a universal online course catalog with the benefit of over 100,000 student reviews. These are detailed reviews that speak to the quality and relevance, and those are two key terms for us, the quality and relevance fellow students have found in the course. And by and large, nearly 90% of the reviews are provided by enrollees or students that have completed the coursework. So these can really get into the heart of whether or not, in a world where course descriptions begin to blur together and sound so similar with the massive proliferation of courses, to be able to dig into fellow students who have come before you and learn that, is this the right course for me and what I'm looking to accomplish, what my personal goals are, is really where we found sort of traction with our vision on really curating this massive proliferation. From the perspective of the online course provider, learners who use CourseTalk reviews to assist in sorting courses rated by relevance and quality end up enrolling at higher rates. So we found that the enrollment rate for a student that views a course description is dramatically higher when accompanied by detailed reviews. And again, these reviews are not only your sort of ubiquitous star rating, in which more of a quantitative rating, but also the vast majority of our reviews come in a paragraph form, multiple sentences describing what they found, the learner found was relevant. It's not simply a description of how they felt about the course, but what it did for them vis-a-vis their objectives. So that enrollment rate is boosted. Our thesis is that low completion rates are related to, among other things, this enormous proliferation of online content and courses. So simply put, it's learners enrolling in a course to learn if it's what they expect it to be. That's what we believe is at the heart of some of the completion rate challenges we've seen. That where if you have to audit the course and take the first few modules to learn whether it's for you or what you thought it was, that's very inefficient. It costs time, and again reflected in downward pressure on completion rates. So CourseTalk is that collective experience of hundreds of thousands of students who have completed a course, and CourseTalk places the ratings and reviews in context right alongside the course description. So again, it's an efficient way to, shall we say, shop for the right course. So that really, sure, go ahead.
Sure. I was curious to know basically how important, like, has CourseTalk done some study on how important a tool are reviews for the fellow students as well when they read the reviews by other students? And have you found people with courses with reviews versus courses with no reviews? What's the comparison between them?
We've indeed studied that, and very happy to report that there's a strong correlation. I think it deserves more study to discuss, parse out causal versus correlation. But I'll give you for instance, when a course review accompanies the course description, we see a 10x increase in the click-through to enroll. So, and similar metrics where we found that the at least on the surface, and again this coming year we'll be diving into that deeper, is the notion that a quality, at a minimum of 3 to 5 reviews that are qualitatively robust, rich reviews, as opposed to like up or down is not enough. We find that the not only is the click-through and the enrollment rate higher, completion rates show an uptick, and then finally what we've learned, and this may be getting ahead of ourselves, is that we found that courses that actually have a fee associated with them, reviewers are much more willing to pay a fee for high quality content. So we're really in the early stages of learning what the impact of that early review has on the next cohort coming behind them. But we're starting to see a sort of a funneling or sorting mechanism by these reviews, that what the reviewer gives to the cohort following them or subsequent students is the clarity to know that they've chosen the right course. And so to summarize, the enrollment rates are higher, completion rates are higher, and willingness to pay for highly reviewed course material, content, instructor experience.
So, but we have talked about what have been the benefits, but still, can you dig in to what are some of the pressing issues facing online learners today, even today?
Well, really, I mean, it goes perhaps without saying that a pressing issue is, of course, access to the internet. Now setting aside connectivity and broadband access, etc. Really, it's enormous and growing volume of choice. So curating that universe of potential courses. Early on, we assumed that when we believed in the MOOC cause, shall we say, in the ability to deliver technology everywhere to everyone at little or no cost. But that with that comes sort of the proliferation of choice comes with the necessity to be able to curate and navigate. And from our perspective, who better to help the potential learner or enrollee to navigate than students that may have similar goals, similar objectives, and allow the crowdsource, shall we say, it's an overused term, particularly here in the Valley, but to allow for the population of folks that have gone before them to dictate or communicate relevance and quality. So something we all, I experienced this in my own time at university, is that it can be often difficult to parse really what is the value of a course simply from a course description. Again, they start to sound all the same, and that was at a single university. And so to really think about the tens of thousands of courses now available, it was our thesis that the issue here is going to be distinguishing a particular course, chemical engineering course or computer science, one from the other. It will become near impossible to distinguish from hundreds of similar sounding courses without the benefit of hearing where the courses went right, where they went wrong, and in what context they were used. So a great example is entering a course believing that it's going to be a practical course and finding out 3 or 4 modules in that it's really a theoretical treatment. So again, assuming that the particular student does not have hours and hours to waste on discovering it's the wrong course for them, it really speaks to the value proposition that we pursued at CourseTalk. I also mentioned, and it relates, the range of quality, particularly early on, and I think we're evolving quickly in the right direction. But the difference between an interactive course course with rich content and student collaboration tools, really to get to the heart of education as a social experience. The same course material presented in a one-way format, either YouTube or a flat just read and regurgitate format. I mean, these are qualitatively different experiences. But from the perspective of a student reviewing a course description, they may look very similar. So really working through the quality variance is a big factor. Next, and maybe it deserves to be first, is credentialing and certification, and the acceptance of academic credit by more traditional institutions from the courses taken online. So these are really pressing issues. I think they'll be solved. I think the next 5 years is going to see solutions to all of these, but that's where we sit today.
Definitely, and then even the reviews bring a social angle to it, which is, I think, important for the learner.
Yes, I'm sure you can relate, but by my own experience at university, I was the first child in my family, first person in my family to attend. And even back in the 1980s, in the Stone Age, I had to ask students and friends that are maybe a year ahead of me, am I taking the right course? And really, this is just that at scale. So we just are thrilled with the thought of millions of students helping each other navigate. Really, the sort of the flip side to the excitement and possibility of this revolution is how do we guide students through it to minimum standards of quality and again efficiency. Nobody wants to take a 3-4 weeks out of their month and discover that it was the coursework is really not answering their needs. So I can't say enough how excited we are to be playing a part in solving that.
Absolutely, absolutely. Don, we have been talking all over the world, especially in the US, about the MOOC model, and there have been so many discussions around it. Or your insights on what the MOOC model currently is, and how do you suggest some improvements in the same?
Well, I think we've sort of touched on it a bit that solving for going back a couple of years, it's about access and a lot of excitement. I think 2012 was the year of the MOOC, but maybe 2013, maybe 2020. It's really it's evolving quickly, but there are challenges, and different markets have different challenges. For us, from the supply side, there's again a wide variance of quality. For the student, there are challenges again around relevance, and layer these factors on top of the proliferation. We see that maybe what we missed was completion rates. When you see some completion rates below 10%, I'm going to maybe diverge from the sort of the conventional wisdom. And I don't necessarily see low completion rates as a problem. I see them as a symptom. I think that what we call it is the dabbler effect inside the company. That you've got millions of folks that may want to learn a bit more about, I don't know, it could be a particular programming language. You may not want to become a programmer, but they may want to understand and maybe get insight into how a programmer thinks. You've got folks that'll take the first 25% of a course, drop out, and then there's a little bit of hand-wringing in the space about how that reflects perhaps poor quality. We're missing the mark. We're not actually delivering the value. We're under-delivering on the promise of access and what MOOCs can mean. For me, I think it may call for different vocabulary. I think those folks are maybe audits. Those are not enrollees. Those are users. Enrollees, that's where folks that have committed to the experience and committed to completing. That's where there's a challenge around delivering to the ability to gain those credentials. And that leads to a line of thought and certainly development in the space where employment and skills-based training online begins to build on the gap between and this is certainly true in the U.S. and I believe in the Indian market as well, a gap between employable skills and the higher education experience.
Higher education.
Absolutely. So the ability to partner quickly and innovate quickly for the purpose of specific, particularly top-tier employers, that they're looking for particular skills. Partnership, that may be where we begin to close the gap in terms of relevance. That not only can you take a MOOC to dive deeper into your undergraduate studies or your area of concentration to make you more prepared for certainly knocking it out of the park in your undergrad, but also but from a postgraduate standpoint, staying relevant with the employable skills side of the equation. So I mean, you ask about problems, but I think we're seeing the solutions now as we see those partnerships begin to grow and demand in the marketplace really come to rise to the top. That's what students are looking for, and certainly it can solve for the relevance problem from the employer's perspective. So I bounce around a little bit, but I'm excited that all of those problems or those challenges seem to be at the fore. I think we're working on the right things after 2 or 3 years of maybe floundering a bit as an industry, as an ecosystem.
Mm-hmm. So you must have heard about some of the MOOC providers currently making major investments in the Indian market as well. Do you have some insights about the Indian users, or how do you see it growing in a country like India?
Well, we're excited because we're global. As the Indian MOOC providers begin the process of developing and scaling, we hope to be right at the forefront with making those part of our universal catalog. I think we'll see some of the same challenges we see here in the U.S. From domestic developers and certainly some elite institutions. Some of the most elite universities in the world had fits and starts when they first started out. They often made the mistake of simply taking the classroom environment and simply, quote, putting it online. And more innovative thought leaders in the space have discovered that this is a unique experience, and maybe ground up development is required. But that said, back to just the enormity and demand in the Indian market is right now it's our #2 market, but behind the U.S. But we fully expect that to eclipse the U.S. Sometime in the next 5 years. Certainly, from the demographics are certainly in line with that expectation, but also the demand in the marketplace for quality and the opportunity to assist with really scale. The understanding where the Indian market wants to be in the next 5 years, and to see that gross enrollment rate, those targets that as much as 30% by in the 2020s. I think the only way to do that is rapid innovation. We're going to see innovation in the Indian market that is blinding in terms of speed, just because the necessity is required. You can't simply cannot build enough seats fast enough to satisfy the demand, and tier 1 schools are just not going to have enough seats to 8,000 enrollees in IIT versus 300,000 applicants. That innovation will follow that demand, and so we're just excited about being part of it. Whatever small part we can play in helping the Indian user really track through specific. Well, I mean, everything we've said about our value proposition, allow them to assist them in navigating. It's starting small, relatively speaking, but again, we see that exploding in terms of content. Now, I think the fact that a platform like CourseTalk exists can play a sort of a backdoor role in the speed in terms of the development of the quality and the relevance and the connectedness to the employer demand from a skills perspective. If you seeing some of the earlier online courses coming up on various platforms and seeing reviews, there's some challenges in terms of the user experience. And one thing we found out is that, and we've learned, and certainly we've all learned, is that asking, crowdsourcing reviews can be brutally undiplomatic in their feedback. But that should be fodder. That should be fire to develop and not make the same mistakes that we made in the U.S. from 2011, for the first 2 or 3 years. So whatever role we can play in facilitating the feedback loop from a user perspective is exciting. So we see, again, the Indian market surpassing what we do see domestically. That said, really the investment and the commitment of both the central government and the states around those aggressive goals in the 12th five-year plan. I mean,
exactly.
Something we look at those objectives as saying we have to invest and really start to develop really a recommendations engine model for the Indian market that's going to allow students to navigate through that proliferating content. Finally, if we can, there may be an atmosphere where there's more willingness to accept foreign investment, foreign providers, that there's more of an acceptance of particularly homegrown online course and credentialing. I think there's an opportunity there to solve for the hesitance in some traditional schools to accept online credentials or academic credit. I think as we see more development out of homegrown and IIT, the other tier 1 schools pushing content and coursework online, I think some of those barriers by definition are going to fall away. So we were just excited about the enormous opportunity that it represents.
Perfect.
Is that a little one?
Yeah, definitely. And then, in fact, you have been talking about the excitement, and I'm sure you are not the only one, because your whole team would be excited about this opportunity. Tell us about your team as well. Who do you have supporting this CourseTalk globally? Well,
we've got our fantastic group of people here in Silicon Valley, but it stretches beyond that. Seattle, some Detroit, Denver in the U.S., and then offshore development teams that have been with us for years. They're really part of the family, and what sort of binds us together is we all see our work as really a mission to help provide access, and that's really how it started out. Was how do we provide access and reduce those barriers, that asymmetrical information relationship between the individual aspiring learner and the enormous commitment that is higher education, particularly for the cohort of individuals globally that may be the first in their family to really consider higher ed as something that's achievable, that's available to them. So really help provide access for all people to the world's best education content. There's a lot of there's a lot of talk here in Silicon Valley about making the world a better place, and that's laudable. It's a great place to be. It supplies the energy, but we think education offers the best leverage in making good on such a high-minded ambition. But again, it's really exciting to work in a time and a place where not only the environment engenders that sort of energy and passion and commitment, but even from to CourseTalk in particular, our private equity investors, our board of directors, our staff, and our consultants, anybody that touches this thing, shares such a powerful vision that we can contribute in some humble way to society. I mean, so the team is really a source of inspiration for me. It's just we don't look at ourselves as employees or staff or contributors. It's really a volunteer mission. That said, it's a great opportunity to develop skills and build careers. But what a way to do it! So that we're really excited every day.
Great to hear that. And in fact, before we end, I would like to know if in particular you would like to mention a few names those who motivate you, or any thought leaders whom you follow for success.
Well, it may sound may not be surprising to a dad of a father of young daughters, but I could mention any number of spiritual and thought leaders. But if I really cut to the chase, the future of my two young daughters, and by extension, all young people around the world, that's what motivates me. I believe our species is at a real crossroads. if we are to thrive in coming generations, it really depends on the choices we make over the next 50 years, maybe less. And access to education must spread quickly beyond the privileged and into every corner of humanity, really. For the first time in human history, this is possible. So you can imagine the excitement we have just playing some small part of that. And playing some small part in that revolution is what inspires me. So again, I was first generation university. I was not raised with the how or the why of higher education, and sort of had to figure it out for myself. And the fact that, and it took years for me to piece together an education that would give me and my family a better life. The fact that you and I are talking like this from around the world and sharing in a passion for this, really this mission to an education, really in the broadest sense. To me, just being in this time and place is inspiring. So, and then finally, I mentioned being in Silicon Valley. You can throw a stone and find somebody that inspired me. I'm such a, internally they call me a nerd, but just seeing Sal Khan walk past out our office window and what he's done with Khan Academy, he was really one of the inspirations, maybe the inspiration for me to leave banking and the insurance sector and really apply what I've learned here at CourseTalk and Academics Direct. So I'd really point to him as an inspiration as well.
Amazing, amazing. Thanks a lot, Don, for your insights and your time, especially. And let's stay in touch and stay connected.
Absolutely, I'd appreciate it. And I've become a big fan of myself. I've seen several of your interviews now, so we're definitely connected now. So you won't get rid of me.
Sure.
Thanks again. You too.